For many of us, a console is a means to an end, a functional, drab-looking hunk of plastic that takes up an unassuming place on your TV stand, modest enough to let the games themselves take centre stage. But for some, the console deserves better billing. For those of us who appreciate the hard work and dedication of our game-carrying workhorses, we want our console to be the star of the show. Special editions, rare issues, anniversary releases, mod shop customs, bespoke fascias, converted cars for goodness sake. There are dedicated collectors out there going to incredible lengths to find or create a console that's more art installation than humble hardware. The degree of customization nowadays is mind-boggling for consoles, controllers, peripherals, you name it. Even the creators of said consoles are feeding the public's hunger for personalized accessories with the likes of Microsoft's Xbox Design Lab and Nintendo's themed goodies that sell like hotcakes. Hotcakes made of actual gold. More on that later. Not that this is a new phenomenon, however. Companies have been throwing their brand name onto peculiar hardware designs for decades, whether or not the brand itself has any relevance to the gaming industry whatsoever. But that's how it goes, I'm afraid. Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft build something popular, and the marketing teams shall come to peddle their garish wares. Taste and sophistication be damned. So, on that note, let's put on our artsy turtleneck and beret and peer judgingly down our circular-rimmed spectacles at some of the strangest branded consoles, shall we? I'm Peter from TripleJump, and these are the 10 most bizarre special edition consoles. Number 10. The Audi R8 Xbox One. If you're the kind of petrol head whose dream house is just a luxury car showroom with a small bathroom on the side, this specimen is sure to rev your engines and moisten your dipstick. The Audi R8 themed Xbox One was given away as a competition prize to celebrate the release of 2016's Forza Horizon 3, and it does an excellent job of showing up the rest of your TV stand hardware as the boring old bangers they truly are. Yes, especially you, combi VHS DVD player that's aged about as well as a Geo Metro. Only 3 of these ostentatious, that's Peter ostentatious, Audi boxes were manufactured, and the competition itself was only available to German fans entering through the Facebook page. On rarity alone, this weird bit of kit at least sparks curiosity, but even 3 of them was arguably too many in the first place. It's gaudy, it's bombastic, and it's very, very red. It's the gaming equivalent of having a racing car bed because you just love vroom vrooms so darn much, and it certainly feels like the design was conceived from the doodles on the back of a school child's maths book. Having said that, at least the Audi guys had a go at creating a uniquely shaped console, rather than just reskinning the usual model, adding yellow trim and a badge and claiming it's a Lamborghini, honest. Number 9, the Game of Thrones Xbox One. Until April of this year, there were 2 kinds of people in this world: those who watched Game of Thrones and those who also watched Game of Thrones but made laboured 2 kinds of people analogies about watching Game of Thrones. The point is, Game of Thrones is popular, right? That's what I'm getting at. Players of all kinds of games have gotten down with throne fever, with no end of console decals and skins available with which to sully your console, or unsully it, if you will. Perhaps the most outrageous we've come across, however, is this beauty. Not only does it look absolutely absurd with the 3 iconic sun rings stuck to the box, but the inlays on the console and controller look about as ergonomically pleasing as the Iron Throne itself. We get it. When you play this game, you win or you die, but there's no need to shred our hands open in the meantime. Just give me a clean death at the end. Only 6 of these designs were ever produced, given away to French audiences after Game of Thrones Season 6. Try as we might, though, we couldn't find any real-world footage of this one, sadly, so we hope these actually exist somewhere and haven't just been made up, like Grumkins and Snarks and White Walkers. Pull the other one. Oh, Jesus! Number 8, the Marlboro Atari Lynx handheld. Back in the early 90s, gaming was still very much perceived as being for kids, so it was an obvious market for a cigarette conglomerate, right? They do say get 'em hooked while they're young, but this is absurd, even for those days. This branded version of the ill-fated Atari Lynx handheld had Marlboro plastered all over it, promoting the German Marlboro Adventure Team logo. Available as part of a giveaway after collecting points from buying packs of smokes, this big red unit even came with an inbuilt game, Marlboro Go, a short, repetitive motorcycle racer which existed solely to put the brand name in front of as many impressionable gamers as possible. This is truly a relic of a bygone age of dubious marketing, where cigarette companies like Marlboro would attach their name to everything from streetwear to motorsport, and quite fittingly, a subpar handheld that died a very early death in 1996. Turns out, smoking really does kill. Number 7, the MTV GameCubes. Remember MTV's glory days? The music-turned-pop culture channel that put out bafflingly popular shows like Pimp My Ride, Cribs, and Jackass was pretty hip back in the 2000s, or so people say. In fact, I don't think anyone says the word hip. For their obsession with R&B music videos singing about, hoes and ghost riding the whip, the perfect games console partner that was a natural match in style and tone was clearly the Nintendo GameCube. Obviously. The GameCube's now cult status was much different at the time, competing with the frankly more popular PS2 and Xbox, which might explain Nintendo ditching their squeaky clean image in favour of bizarre MTV tie-ins. Unfortunately, these truly obnoxious designs probably caused more harm than good to the brand, along with permanent damage to your retinas if you looked at them for too long. Possibly the worst offender is Canadian Maple, making the poor cube look even more like an oversized paperweight. Looking back now at this rebellious teen phase of Nintendo, the quote edgy adverts and MTV partnerships really just leave us feeling like we've all been punked. Number 6, the Suzuki SX4 360. Good name. Sometimes a couple of decal stickers or a slightly different paint job just won't do. Sometimes you just need to gut an entire car and stick a controller in the wheel and take up the entire boot space with an HD telly. Hang on, are we still on MTV? This sounds like Pimp My Ride to me. But no, there it is. It's a real thing. Sorry, Grandma, no space for shopping, but at least you can play GTA. That's your favorite, right, Gran? This insane console/concept car hybrid is the Suzuki SX box. See what they did there? Featuring a dashboard integrated Xbox 360 and an internal digital projector to display your game on the retractable hood. It also has force feedback front seats, additional wireless controllers for if you hate the awkwardly placed wheel controller, which we all would, and full surround sound. Suffice to say, this car isn't road legal. Then again, I suppose this counts as a mobile gaming device, in a way. Might be a super dangerous one, no question, but it's probably still better than the Atari Lynx. Number 5, the Tommy Hilfiger Game Boy Color. This just gets weirder and weirder. Back in our childhood days, we don't remember many kids running around the playground in Tommy Hilfiger polos and designer chinos. It was more light-up Heeley trainers and backwards caps. Maybe we just didn't go to the right schools, or maybe this partnership between Nintendo and Tommy Hilfiger completely missed the mark. Place your own bets in the comments below. I don't know whose idea this actually was, but clearly they didn't get the memo that the Game Boy Color wasn't a fashion statement, it was a way of life. Nobody cared who you were wearing, they cared about who was willing to trade you their rare Porygon because you'd had enough of those bloody slot machines. Nevertheless, this special edition Game Boy Color was released back in 1999 as part of a promotion where you could get a discounted price of only $57.50 after a minimum spend of $50 on children's Tommy Hilfiger clothing, that is. So, if you were from the kind of hard-up family that couldn't afford a Game Boy Color without a promotional discount, but would also buy really overpriced children's clothes that you would grow out of in 6 months, then you too could take advantage of this very special offer and own the playground with your trendy handheld. They didn't really think this through, did they? According to Nintendo of America, and I'm quoting now, both companies tailor to the trendsetters who dress to impress and enjoy interactive entertainment. Is there a major untapped crossover between those two demographics? Who thought of this? Number 4, the Panasonic GameCube. It's another appearance for the GameCube. Well, kind of. Remember when we mentioned their lukewarm launch and stiff competition from Sony and Microsoft? Well, in the wake of that, this little cube got a little bit self-conscious about its lack of features, notably that it couldn't play chunky DVDs in its laughably small micro disc slot. Hey everyone, look how tiny it is! Oh wait, no, that's glass houses, isn't it? So Nintendo got Panasonic, who had developed the proprietary disc reading system for their main console, to beat up the bigger kids. To create a new age DVD compatible machine, it says here. While technically the Panasonic Q was a completely new console rather than a limited edition modification, it was only available in Japan and sold less than 100,000 units. Small change compared to the 21 million official GameCubes shipped worldwide. But semantics aside, just look at this specimen. It's like a GameCube got it on with an early 2000s hi-fi. This bonkers block of hardware featured dialogue boosters and cinematic mode buttons, full surround sound support, and of course, those trademark handles. Oh, lovely. Number 3, the Coca-Cola Game Gear. Since Coca-Cola have a habit of putting their name to literally anything, from summer bathing suits to Bluetooth speakers to Christmas trucks, we're really not surprised that this Coke-themed Sega Game Gear just disappointed everyone. For an empire worth about $74 billion today, dominating the market for decades, surely they could have picked a better console to do a brand deal with. Unleashed on Japanese audiences in 1994, this garish number was both an eyesore and an eye strain, what with that ridiculously tiny screen. Not only did it feature a vast library of the Game Gear's finest titles like Sonic and it was also home to Coke's very own lovingly made masterpiece, Coca-Cola Kid. Oh, move over Pepsi Man. We can almost hear the marketing team smugly discussing how players would be able to quench their thirst for adventure, if adventure means mediocre side-scrolling action, disappearing clothes, and induced epilepsy. It's fair to say Coca-Cola backed the wrong horse with this ill-fated handheld, though ironically, this relic of poor PR is actually in very high demand these days, fetching prices online of up to $799. Oh, holidays are coming. I don't know why. What does that mean? Number 2, I mean, that's just words. What is Sneaker Pimps Nike NES console? Now we've all seen sneering comments from graphics snobs. Ha! Was this game played on a potato? Well, obviously not. That would be ridiculous, wouldn't it, Mr. XX4K Blaze It XX? You can't run memory-intensive interactive software on a spud. But a shoe, on the other hand, that would be perfectly reasonable, apparently. This unorthodox choice of footwear turned hardware comes courtesy of late 90s trip-hop band Sneaker Pimps, who announced their entry into the portable gaming market at the end of their 2007 US tour. Now, unfortunately, information and footage are thin on the ground for this oddity, save for a few pictures taken at the time, hence why we're padding this out with some retro footage of famous 8-bit athletes. But you know, that's a real shame, because there's so much potential for this console, from entertainment while you exercise to gaming fashion shows. Oh, and just think of the possible dad jokes. What's Mario's favourite kind of shoe? Anyone? Platforms. In fact, you might say the information's so thin on the ground for this console that we're not even sure if it actually runs. Okay, sorry, let's just go on to the last one. And number 1, the Nintendo Wii Supreme. Ladies and gentlemen, I teased it earlier, feast your unworthy eyes on the most expensive games console ever produced, the Nintendo Wii Supreme. This is no mere slab of plastic. This is a solid gold statement of excess and extravagance. Slathered in 2,500 grams of 22-karat gold with diamond-encrusted buttons, only 3 of these consoles were ever produced, putting them in a very exclusive club of jet-setting billionaires who inexplicably also have a soft spot for Wii Sports. Again, I don't think the demographic crossover really exists here. It's an unexpected move from a normally quite humble games company, but incredibly, this gaudy piece of kit isn't even the first time Nintendo have gone gold. The 2004 Special Edition Game Boy SPs came with the promise of a golden ticket where you stood a chance of winning a solid gold-plated version of the console. Though this is a mystery in itself, as no winners ever came forward, with many believing it to be an elaborate hoax. Judging from this page selling the golden Wii, alright, okay, everyone settle down. The price tag of £299,000 would suggest this one is very much up for grabs. We're tempted, but you might have to support us on Patreon first. In fact, let's do the outro. And that's our list, but what did we miss out? Let us know in the comments below. You can follow myself and TripleJump on Twitter here, and if you want to support the things you enjoy, we provide all kinds of rewards over on our Patreon. Finally, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. I've been Peter from TripleJump, and thanks for watching.